welcome to Leadership and Loyalty Tips for Executives. I'm your host. My name is Dov Barron. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm here with our special guests, multiple today. They are from, well, actually, you tell us where you're from.
We are the three co-founders of Blog Her and newly joined the leadership team for She Knows Media, where we sold the company.
So, this is a blogging. Tell us about it, because it's like, okay, everybody's got a blog now, apparently. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got a blog. What made your blog so different?
Well, we should roll the tape back a
Please.
little bit. My name's Lisa Stone.
I want to get to all that too, but go ahead. Let's start there.
Hi, I'm Jory Desjardins.
Hi, Elisa Camelhart-Page.
And in 2005, the leading question coming out of my old newsrooms was, where are the women who blog?
Right.
And all three of us were blogging at the time.
Ah.
We were blogging 9 blogs. Crazy woman.
You were doing 9 blogs?
9.
At one point.
Is that all?
Yes,
There's
that's
nothing
all.
to do.
That's all. I was a slacker.
So we were thinking, there's got to be an answer to this question.
Right.
I had an idea for a conference, met these two. We decided to invite other women who blog, and lo and behold, we accidentally started a business.
Wow. So you've sold Blog Her.
Yeah.
Now it's part of
She Knows Media.
She Knows Media. So we can go online and find that easy.
Absolutely.
We're certainly going to share the links with you and make sure the links are there so you can find out all the information about these amazing ladies. Tell us.
Over the past 10 years,
Yeah.
we evolved from being the world's leading conference for women in social media, which we still are,
Really?
to an ad network where we were helping pay women and some men through a revenue share for advertising on their blogs.
Sure.
And then we developed a scalable technology platform that would help women and men be compensated for their influence, both editorial and advertorial writing assignments, but only working with brands that they felt matched their brand. Like true authenticity.
That is cool.
Elisa, as a vegan in the network, would never have to work with any products that
Oh,
use
come
animal
on. You want to
products.
work with a bacon manufacturer?
Those
Seems
are for
like
me.
such a
They
good
have good
fit.
dollars.
Yeah. Those are for me, not
Okay.
for Elisa.
Yes, we'll take those.
But it was a great opportunity for us to help compensate women and men for their unique and very trusted voices. Over the past 5 years, we paid out $36 million to nearly
Nicely
6,000 influencers. But what we didn't have was video. And we
Right.
got together with the leadership team at She Knows Media, and it was a complete and total belief that there is a new model to be born where
course.
the influencers can work with brands who only want to have real, authentic conversations. And we're beginning to build something very big.
So when it started off, you were all independent bloggers. What were you blogging? Yeah, 9, just 9 blogs.
Just 9. Well, I think it's very interesting because we weren't friends or colleagues or prior. I was introduced to Lisa via a mutual friend. I met Jory sitting next to her at a conference. And we did this project together, the first Blogger conference, which was kind of a trial by fire. You got to see how it was to work together. You got to see how you could communicate and get things done. And it was only after that first conference that we were like, you know what, there's an opportunity here and there's a company here. And 10 years later, I don't think there's so many startups that 10 years later, the same 3 co-founders
No.
took it from start to this exit point and are staying with the company. And I think it's everything to do with how we managed our partnership.
So when you guys first met, how long did it take before you created the company as such?
Well, we cooked up the conference in the
In
first meeting.
4 months, we did the
Wow.
conference, and then we decided to run the digital aspect of the business, and we launched the site about 6 months after the conference, maybe a little bit less, and then we got our first round of funding after about 18 months of going on our own.
And we made the decision, we were all 3 consulting in the space, and we made the decision after that first conference to focus on this as a company and phase out our clients and go all in.
So you were consulting to.
All 3 different.
I had just started a blog network for a media company and was
Okay.
doing some media consulting at the time and some writing.
I was helping companies get into online community and writing blogs for companies and helping them use it to generate sales.
I've been working in journalism and media strategy for my whole career.
Right.
And so I was working with very large brands to grow blogging and community initiatives, but also some brand new ones. And it was the opportunity to build it from the grassroots correctly, right? All those things. If it's not your first rodeo, and it's none of our first rodeo, it was so exciting to be able to do it right. Because in women's media for so long, the mojo was to tell women what they wanted.
Absolutely.
If you flip that on its head and ask them,
Mm-hmm.
wow, that just caught fire. And that's what every major influencer today who's effective in this space, whether she's on Pinterest or Instagram or blogs or on, Twitter, is doing well if she's doing it.
Right.
So today, as She Knows Media, we reach 75.3 million uniques every month and growing.
75 million?
This company
That's terrible.
together,
How are you going to cope with that?
and 150 million in social. Together, this company is larger than people we respect like Condé or Hearst or Meredith.
Amazing.
So with She Knows Media's very serious video assets
Sure.
and portfolio and their experience with owned and operated sites and our total passion for the grassroots, we really think that there's an opportunity.
What is the theme? I mean, obviously it's women, but is it women's
Yes.
empowerment?
Women inspire women.
Yeah,
Period, full stop.
it's fantastic.
It's not an ivory tower. We inspire, you go do it.
Right.
It's much more of you can inspire me, who can inspire Lisa, who can inspire Jory, and heaven knows what we'll go off and do in our lives. But thanks to social media, we'll all know about it.
Right. That's
So
true.
there's no secrets here.
No.
It's custom media, but it's also premium media. So
Right.
that's the thing, is taking this user-generated content and being able to take the best of it and bring it out on behalf of brands, but also on behalf of all these women who have been reaching out and finding their favorite blog or their favorite site.
There's so many, ways that there have been major shifts in how both consumer brands and media brands and even B2B brands have to talk to their customer.
Yeah.
That not just the shift to digital, which was enough, the shift to the user being able to control their experience online so significantly. Now the shift to mobile, it's a constant evolution. And, our role is to really try to help bridge those gaps and bring the customer together. There's two customer sets for us.
Yeah.
The brands and the influencers, the audience, and bringing them together in authentic ways, even as the environment all around them is evolving so quickly, is what we're here to do.
Well, I think that there's been I believe there's been a shift, and I would like to see that shift be a lot bigger. I'm a feminist, and I'm married to a powerhouse woman, thank God, because I don't think anyone else could cope with me. And I really am passionate about women being empowered to own that power. Actually, my wife has a blog. Her blog is called Queen Bitch Confessions.
Wow.
So it gives you...
that one?
Write that
Wait.
down.
That's owning. That is owning.
Yeah, and it really
Should take advertising?
it comes out of this whole thing, this whole idea, which is that, I'll tell you a very quick story. When we first met, and she'll probably kill me for telling this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. When we first met, and you're in the romantic phase, which is now about 18 years ago, and she came over to surprise me one night. I'll leave that to your imagination. She was wearing a coat.
Enough said.
Enough said. And so she came in, and she came into the living room, and I said, these are my exact words, "You are one sexy bitch." That's what I said. At which point, the coat got closed up, and she was like, "I'm done." And so we had this really great conversation, actually. It was what came out of it. It wasn't pissosity. We had this great conversation, and I said, "Why is that an offensive word? I want to know why that's an offensive word." She got that is a word that was used when women stood in their power. If I'm a powerful guy and I state my truth, oh, he's a powerhouse. If you're a powerful woman and you state your truth, you're a bitch. You're a ball crusher, or all of those horrible things that are put on women. And I said, this has to change. I don't believe becoming politically correct and removing the word is going to work. The word has to be reframed and owned. And she took that on completely. And so my wife is now the brown bitch. My wife is brown. So, and she owns that, and it's a statement of power. And lots of the women that she mentors and guides say, I want like I'm a bitch in training, And it's this wonderful piece of not letting somebody else tell women who they are, but letting them own it. And it's really cool to hear that you guys are doing that.
So it's interesting you say that, because there is something about owning the word that you want to know,
Mhm.
right? One of the things that really we found compelling at She Knows Media was when Sheryl Sandberg took on the entire Ban Bossy campaign,
Yeah.
which candidly, as someone who was a very shy girl, I really connected with.
Right.
But our new colleague, Samantha Ski, decided that she wanted to see what young girls really thought and did a whole campaign called
Fantastic.
#BossyIs. And Bossy has wonderful implications for the young community, and Samantha talked all over the internet about it. So what I love is that there's a conversation about taking back a phrase. And we're seeing women do that all over the place,
I love
from solidarity is for white women to, you know, what is home cooking? You decide, you decide, you decide.
Well, I also think that one of the key things we did from the very beginning with Blog Her was have community guidelines that encourage civil disagreement and civil debate, so that one person could say ban Bossy and the other person could say Bossy is, and have a reasonable conversation about it. And that's so it's increasingly and sadly rare on
It
the
was
internet,
very
and it
rare
certainly
when it
was
was founded.
rare back then. But it's part of what we're an omnipartisan organization. We want to share all views and really promote all views as long as they're being expressed. And
Sure.
so I think it's just a very important aspect of what we do,
Well,
that there's room for that.
It's also incredibly powerful as a media company.
Sure.
Because from the beginning, we made the decision we were not going to only be for one sector
No.
of women writers. We weren't just going to work with mothers or work with foodies or work with people who read about fashion.
Right.
By wildly diversifying our community to match what was available in the advertising marketplace, we weathered many a gyration in
Sure.
the economic realm, and now we're able to work with everybody from technology and pharma to lipstick and shoes. And so when you put that together with the video assets and the
Yeah.
expertise in owned and operated that we'll have at She Knows Media, there's really no one we can't help find the authentic communities of women that they want to engage with their brands. And as publishers, that is going to be something we take to the
Absolutely.
bank.
So, thinking about business leaders who are women, maybe the C-suite. We're here at the C-suite conference. The C-suite women. How important do you think it is? Do you think it's important? I'm saying how. Maybe you don't think it is. How important, or do you think it's important for female leaders in whatever the realm to blog?
I personally think it's very important for every woman who is in a professional capacity today to think about the fact that her social media presence is her brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the ability to write in a long form format, like a blog, is going to help people truly understand your expertise at the same time that you're using 140 characters to your benefit on Twitter.
Right.
I think a common struggle, though, with social media is that it takes a lot of time
Absolutely.
to maintain a platform across
Yep.
all of the platforms if you really
Absolutely.
wanted to do that. Many of the women that I've encountered that we've talked to over the years who've done it successfully have figured out what the right combination is. It's not about adopting everything and being everywhere all the time. It's finding out, is long form what is right for you? Is it Twitter that people seem to really be following? Some people are better curators than they are content creators.
Right.
And there's still opportunity to be and create a platform being a content curator
Right.
and sharing the right content versus always creating it.
That's so true. I mean, many years ago now at this point, we expanded our model to help the women in our community make the most out of not just their blogs, but all their social profiles. Wherever they had influence, whether it was Pinterest or Instagram or Twitter or their blog, we were there to help them make the most of that presence. And so that's what to your point, any woman leader should be thinking about. Where can they make the most of their presence? And it can be blogs, but it can be elsewhere as well. But I do think it's important to, it's important to give to the next generation. It's important to represent. I wish that people represented their identities, all aspects of their identities, because I think that's how you break down stereotypes.
Absolutely.
Is by when the exceptions become the rule. You can't really hold on to the
Well,
stereotypes
don't you
anymore.
think that people, societally, we are compartmentalized, and this is the problem with the word authentic, is I have many discussions, written lots about it, speak on the platform about it, deliver it in the boardroom, like what is authentic, and invariably people don't really know what that means, and they don't. Well, is it okay for me to be authentic here because we've got these compartments? And in my generation, it was, well, this is your work self and this is your home self, and increasingly so now with social media and certainly with millennials, there is no divide. They're the same thing. And in authenticity, if you're going to be authentic, then you've got to be able to willing to show that up. And our generation will struggle with that. Millennials are like,
But everyone draws their boundaries differently, and if you read
Of course.
some of the work of, say, Dana Boyd, who's an expert on youth, and she talks about privacy to millennials. It's just different than privacy to us.
exactly.
But they have it, and I have certain things I will never talk about online, but I'll talk about other things that other bloggers won't even touch.
Right.
It's not that you have to say everything that's true.
No.
It's that everything you say should be true, and that's
That's
what
a
makes
great point.
Isn't it?
authenticity.
That's
That
a
is-
great.
Oh,
That's
thank
really
you.
great.
Okay, write that down right now.
Well, I
Use that.
think in
But
the
that's
early
exactly
days of blogging and when we first started the company in 2005, there was a lot of confusion about what being naked men or being authentic. Those were key words that were always
Absolutely.
thrown around.
Yeah.
And I
Still
think
are.
some people confuse that for, I'm just going to put it out there and be authentic. But sometimes that's not authentic. It's
Well,
about
sometimes
trying
that's
to
vomit.
That's right.
Really, truthfully, that's what it is. It's like, so I just, because there are people who just love to vomit. You've been at a party and sat next to one of those and think, oh my God, how can I escape? They're going to tell you everything about their freaking life story, every minor detail that you really don't give a shit about. That's that's vomiting, and there are people who blog that way. That's different than here's the point, and here's how I feel about it. And I realize this is going to piss a few people off. I realize this is going to rub some edges, but
Well,
this is the truth for me,
And for
not virtually.
brands, right? Brands want to be authentic and they want to
Yeah.
connect with it's not about saying things, sharing company secrets. You can be authentic and still and still maintain your business privacy, right? And so through the years, it's been about finding the right balance and helping brands as well as content creators find the right balance for what that authenticity means. For some brands, it's about sharing positive stories and going out there and sharing what their customers are doing and being there with the customer. That's authentic, according to.
We're coming close to the end, and I want to bring something up because I'm sure you guys were familiar with it. I have a blog too, and I wrote about it, and I wrote about my new book too. And I'm sure you're all familiar with this situation with Lululemon. And when Chip came out and talked about women's thighs rubbing and the complete explosion that took place on social media because of that, I looked around. I found very interesting, I want to hear what you guys found, was the female response to that. I was interested in the business response, the female response, and the male response. Do you remember that? Do you remember how that blew up?
What do you feel like you saw?
Well, what I saw was two sides. I saw women who were kind of ignoring it, and then women who were really pissed off about it. But it was really fascinating for me that nobody seemed to really address what was going on with it. I wrote about it, and for me it was fascinating because I had actually met Chip. I'm from the same city as Chip, and so I had met him and I'd hung out with him like a year before and found him a little socially awkward, but not an asshole, which is what he came across as in that thing. And the blog that I wrote about him is Chip Wilson, lemon or dick, because he came across as a dick, but he was actually a lemon. He just was a sour moment because he's not got that many good filters around how to be. And for me, so I went to my wife because she wrote about it too, and I said, "What's your feeling on this?" And she said, "My thighs rub together. What's the problem?"
So, I think, having watched the amazing diversity of women we have in our community, from mothers like me who have children with special needs,
Sure.
to women of color, to women of a variety of different interests and members of protected classes or unique experiences, including chronic health issues.
Well,
There is a fundamental difference between telling to or talking at communities who are not your community
right.
and asking these communities what their opinion is.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, the whole thing struck me as an outsider making sort of a careless offhand comment in an objectifying kind of a way
Mm-hmm.
that, taken out of context, was bound to come across in a way that wasn't going to help his brand.
Yeah,
He won't be the first, and he won't be the last.
definitely not.
But I think that for a professional communicator who's running a company, you have to be very, very careful about that with your consumer.
Well, for me, the thing was, I wrote about it, like because we talk about loyalty, And Chip is massive on loyalty. He is a culture guy. And he built an amazing culture inside Lululemon. And so when he apologized to the culture.
Yeah.
But he ignored the customer. And that was the big mistake. And I said, here's what, whoever was advising him did a fabulous job regarding his culture, but they didn't give him the guidance around his customer. And if he'd have come back and said, listen,
Yeah.
we screwed up. If you'd have said, you know, our quality went down, you've been very loyal to us, you've taken care of us, you've built us, and we really need to take care of that. And I, as the president of this company, I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna make sure this happens. And I screwed up in the way that I described that, and I sincerely apologize. I think I would have built the brand instead of damaging the brand.
I think it's a quote by Anne Lamott. Both of you probably will correct me if I'm wrong. That said, you know, if you wanted people to write nicer things about you, you should have behaved better. And I think that, to Lisa's point, if you're the face of a brand, it was just, sometimes you just marvel. It happens to everyone, but there needs to be some sort of realization about you always have an audience.
Yeah,
Well,
especially now.
I
Right?
will tell you, one of the reasons we have a business is because there is a group of Fortune 1000 companies that came to us to ask us what women wanted and women were thinking.
Yeah.
So we have had an incredible success. And, you know, whether you're talking about, you know, brands like our friends at the CVS MediClinic who
Mhm.
made a decision not to take on e-cigarettes because they felt that was counter to their brand.
Right.
Or our friends at, you know, P&G who worked very, very closely with experts from the Black community to roll out My Black is Beautiful. You know, the stories are legendary
Yeah.
about companies that take the time. They don't always see immediate results, as
No.
in next quarter, next minute.
Exactly.
But over the long term, there's a reason
But
that
it's relationship,
people talk
right?
about AT&T's last text
Yeah.
or Dove's Real Beauty at Unilever. And it's because they invested in, listened to, and cared about the community, even when it was hard for their brand,
Yeah.
right? Those are not
Absolutely.
easy conversations.
No, they're not.
You know,
And to your point, brands have turned it around by doing exactly what you described,
Mhm.
which is laying it out
Yeah.
to the customer.
Absolutely, and I think the other piece is just that I think any brand, no matter how size, and like I said, I consult with large companies too, you've got to be able to laugh at yourself. If you take yourself so damn serious, you're going to have a problem, especially in social media. Like, poke fun at yourself, because it also takes the sting out anyway. And the companies that do that are great, because we all talk about that. It's fantastic.
we recently did a survey that Elisa led about the combination of utility and entertainment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, something we learned is that the bloggers in our network, they are still doing this to self-express. We have
Of course.
words we want to get out. Yet the audience is really interested in useful information. And so at first you might say, oh, there's a disconnect here. The bloggers just want to talk about themselves and the readers want to learn something useful. But it is, in fact, that frame, that context of sharing who you are that makes your information trustworthy. The audience trusts the information from these people online that they know and love. And we all know, it's well established that people consider their online friends to be as good as real friends in the physical world. And so actually that having that utility but expressing it in your unique voice, and to your point with authenticity, is what creates that trusted environment. And I think that's a great lesson. I mean, this year we really made the point that that was a lesson not just for publishers and writers and influencers, but for brands too.
Yeah. I love what you guys are doing. I think it's really important. And I love the fact that women are getting a better voice. And I'm praying for the day when a woman earns $1 for a guy's dollar. That really does need to happen. I really don't have any understanding of why it isn't. And I really do believe the world is changed by artists and women. I really do believe that. That's always been my belief, and I was brought up by my mom, but I believe that the world is changed by artists and women. Artists can say things that political people can't, and women are the influence of the children and the generation to come, and it is damn important that we listen to women. I look forward to there being a female president who owns her female power, but not trying to be a guy. And that is the danger I see with the political situation. I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for what you guys are doing. Please tell our viewers how to find out more about what it is you do and to get in touch in any way that you would find appropriate.
Oh, thank you. If you go to sheknows.com and look at corporate.sheknows.com, you will be able to find our entire portfolio, the leadership team, And of course, you can always reach out to the three of us on Twitter.
Fabulous. Well, thank you all. Thank you, Alyssa, Jory, and Lisa. Been great having you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Thanks
Really
for
great.
investing
Thank you
time.
so
Absolutely,
much.
my pleasure, and I really wish you every success. I'm actually really excited to know about you guys and know about what you're doing. And I will say here right now on camera, if there's something I can do to assist you, you reach out to me. I would be happy to help you.
Oh, now you're on.